We've got under a month until the NFL draft, which means it's time to start doing some mock drafts. It's Forno Friday on the Locked On Vikings podcast.
You are Locked On Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Locked On Vikings podcast. It is Forno Friday here on Locked On Vikings, where we're always trying to learn something new. Thank you so much to my hashtag everydayers, those of you who listen to this show every single day. And thank you so much for suffering through an incredibly annoying week. Okay, no Aaron Rodgers talk today. Moratorium on it. It's over. We're talking draft. We're going in nitty gritty. Today we're doing a mock draft with Tyler Forness. Forno, thank you so much for joining. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. This is my first mock draft of the season. I haven't even gone into the sim and done one. For me, mock drafts are a useful way to get a landscape generally of the the draft itself. When I see other people post their mock drafts, I'm not usually too interested in it. It's just who you picked, and it's a list of guys like, okay, I guess that would be a draft. But for me, the exercise, the process of doing it is where the fun is. And so when I see someone do a mock draft and then write up that article, it's like, well, I don't care what you think about your one sentence blurb about Malachi Starks. I want to know what your thought process was at pick 17 when a guy was on the board, but are you going to trade up, or what were your trade offers? That's what I'm really interested in. So that's what I want to do today. So Tyler, thanks so much for your time again. You're going to be my Quasi today. I'm going to be Ziggy Wilf. All right. I'll run the thing. I'll click the buttons. But you're driving the ship. Okay.
Sounds good. Imagine if Quasi had this good of hair. He'd be the 100% complete package. It'd be wonderful.
Who knows what happens if he grows it out? Okay. There's a lot of options there. So are there any particular players you want to watch as the board falls for guys that we would maybe trade up for?
So when it comes to this draft, it's very interesting because it's relatively flat after about pick 5. The guy you get at pick 6, 7, and 8 aren't going to be a ton different than the guy you're getting at pick 24. So if you want,
so that's a no.
I say that as a preface, a caveat. But if there's a guy you absolutely love who you think is this elite level difference maker that starts sliding down the board, then you might consider it because the price will be less than what you would have had to pay in years past. So the Vikings, to go up from 23 to 17, had to give up a 6th round pick this year, and then a 3rd and 4th round picks the following year, which they're now paying for in the 2025 NFL draft.
Right. So let's put it this way. We probably don't want to, but what's the panic scenario? This is the next question. So let's put together a really quick, non-comprehensive, but a list of guys to watch. I'll throw 3 guys in there. If you want to add a couple too, say the names, we'll get started. So Kenneth Grant, we'll say Malachi Starks, Derek Harmon. If all 3 of those guys are off the board at 24, we're probably sad, right? Are there any other guys you would throw on that list where if we're down to the last one of those guys, oh shoot, we have to trade up? That's kind of where I'm at.
So 2 of those guys were on my list of top 5, and Derek Harmon just missed it. He's at number 6. I've got Grant at number 5 for guys I want, and Starks at number 2. One is Jihad Campbell, the Alabama linebacker. You and I have talked about him a lot. He's that guy that just elevates the linebacker room. And we even talked about it on the show. 3 is cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr. from East Carolina. Because of the torn ACL he suffered in September, he really hasn't gotten a lot of buzz. I think he's going to work out in April. We'll find out. And then Nick Emmanwori, the safety, South Carolina. But I want to bring up one other name. If Shamar Stewart, the Texas A&M edge, falls down the board, that is probably the one guy I would want to jump up for. But I think he easily goes top 10. I don't think Dennis Allen with the Bears or Mickey Loomis with the Saints will pass on him. But to me, he's just an athletic freak that you could do so many things with. And I think he'll be an elite playmaker on defense in the NFL.
Okay. Let's run this till 15 and we'll see how it goes. Start draft. Oh, there we go. Pause. So everything going mostly normal, but we'll see if there's any super big surprises of guys that go way higher than you think. I'm looking for your guys. I haven't seen anybody yet. There goes Jihad Campbell. All right, 15. We still got lots of those guys on the clock, so no
Mhm.
crazy trades up, right? So let's continue. Let's go like 5 more picks. Wait for, some of these guys to go down, but it looks like we're going to make it to 24. Oh my God, Mike Green. There goes Shamar Stewart.
Mhm.
So those are, I guess, the spicier ones anyway. So we're going to probably be a little bit more chalk here. We still have all the DTs we were talking about. Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon still on the board. I think the 2 corners you said you had on there,
Siobhan
or
Revel's still on the board, and both Malachi Starks and Nick Amon
both the
Warrior still on the
safeties.
board.
So we have 4 picks, or we're up in 4 picks, and there are
Yep.
5 players we would like. So we ain't trading up. Beautiful. No need to. And I feel like a lot. Oh, there goes Kenneth Grant, James Pierce to the Packers. Love that.
That's hilarious because he won't go to the Packers. He is not their type of edge rusher. But
No, and I don't know. I don't know if he's a first rounder.
It's so
I think
weird.
that's a little bit. I think PFF is PFFing a little bit there.
Yeah.
And we never even talked about the guards either. And I do think they're here. I don't think Tyler Booker went. I don't think.
To me, Tyler Booker's an absolute no. He does not fit anything the Vikings want to do on the interior. He can't move.
That is an insane take to me. I gotta table that and have like a whole show about that because I disagree super hard. That'll be a great one. But I'll give it to you now. We'll take them off for now. But we've got all kinds of options here. Malachi Starks. We've got Derek Harmon. We have so many options. Tyler, what are the trades like?
Yeah, I think
we can go down 2 picks and pick up a little extra, right?
I think you could probably get 101 for just moving down the couple spots, and that area can give you a lot of really interesting players.
Should we try 101? 80% chance to be accepted. Let's try it. Got it. All right.
Now
down a couple more spots. Walter Nolan goes. Omarion Hampton goes. Those both are options for the Vikings, but not the only ones. Okay, so we picked up a 4. Do we want to try again?
Yeah, I really like how the board has fallen so far, and I think we might be able to move down depending on the team. I wouldn't do one spot, but
let's see what the Bills are up to at 30.
I bet you can get 101. 62 might be too much, but if you do get 62, maybe you have to throw in 97.
109 is way too much. 62, 97. No. Oh, they're not interested in trading this pick. What about the Chiefs? What about bringing that up? Nope. I'm just kind of clicking around here.
If you just hit that drop down, the arrow, you should be able to see all the teams that are looking to trade with you.
Teams. Oh, there are no teams interested in pick 26.
Oh, no teams. Okay, so then we should probably just
pick somebody. All right, Derek Harmon, Malachi Starks. Those 2 guys were on our list. I know you like Darius Alexander.
Not in round 1.
Not in round 1. Okay,
he's
with
also
you there.
25. I think that's a big no. Even though I mentioned Siobhan Revel, he's 23. I think that's probably a no too.
Nick Emenwari, although on this board, Nick Emenwari is 45. So knowing how to like cheat these sims, you could trade way down and still probably get him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're sticking and picking. What do you got?
If we were to go based on my personal preferences and how my board stacks up, it'd be Malachi Starks. We were watching him the other night, and I think he needs to get a little bit quicker on some of the reactions, but he's got enough athleticism to really be able to compensate for that. And I think when he gets to the NFL level, it's going to be a little fast for him. But once the game slows down, I think he can be a real difference maker. Probably best in center field, but I think he can do a little bit of everything with him.
So we picked up another compensatory third, just for moving down a couple picks, and we still got the guy that probably is like a lot of people would be really happy with at 24. I want to do a whole show on him and probably a Patreon on him too. You were with me when I was watching him yesterday, and I see him as like a very 1-to-1 Cam Bynum type dude. Like, he's a cover safety. I don't see him as a box safety. I don't think he triggers downhill like that. I don't think he hits like that. But that ain't no problem. Like, he's a smart cover safety. Like, that works.
Yeah, it absolutely works. And if you want that more boxy type safety, you can also do the deep coverage stuff. That's when you're going to talk about the Nick Emenwari. It's 6'3", 225 pounds.
Sure.
Like,
when he's freaky athlete, but you got to like teach him how to tackle. Like that's a trouble for me, where it's like, okay, I've seen him bounce off too many tackles. I haven't seen like a comprehensive watch of him, so grain of salt. But from what I have seen, I've seen a little bit too much of, whipping around like a dude's hip and like falling away. But that brings us into day 2 with now 2 third-round picks. So we can maybe package those, try to move up for somebody or something like that. That'll be next on Locked On Vikings. Today's episode of Locked On Vikings is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And it is peak gambling season because it is the bracket, and we're now late enough in the bracket for all of our brackets to be totally screwed. So if you want to get in on the action right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. $200 extra dollars to use on anything from spreads to final winners, buzzer beater, live bets, or 3-point props, all kinds of that stuff. You want to just bet on Paige Beckers, or maybe you want to bet on Duke men's team to go all the way, whatever it is, you can find it at FanDuel, and it's all easy and fast. The app is super simple to use, and you get paid whenever you win right away, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, moving on with this mock draft here on Forno Friday here on the Locked On Vikings podcast. My Quasi, my muse, we move onward. So is there anybody right now on the board that you're thinking that goes, we'll click resume here, but is there anybody in mind right now that you're thinking you could possibly package together 97 and 101 to try to go up and get? Any names we should watch?
If you're going to package up 97 and 101, you're probably only getting to, I'd say at highest, like pick 70. And
okay. So let's run it to there while we talk here.
I don't necessarily think it's going to be worth packaging those up unless you want to give up draft capital next year, which I'm going to be honest, I'm probably out on doing that unless, like, if you want to, like, if a guy like Shamar Stewart, who's like one of my favorite guys, if you were able to jump up to like pick 15 to go get him and you have to give up your second next year or something, I'm going to be relatively okay with that. But once you get down here, I don't really want to do any moving. I want to kind of just stick and pick.
And we got our extra, so you want to kind of keep it all diversified like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's let's take a look at who's out there right now. Once we get to 70, and let's do the due diligence. Right there goes Shamar Turner, the other A&M Shamar. CJ West from Indiana was 70th.
Good, I know player, that's CJ West, good player.
Some people like Omar Norman Lott went 58th. I think that's completely insane.
30%.
It's like I'm not like trying to hate every Tennessee Volunteer on purpose. Like I swear to God, I went into that one with an open mind, and I was just like, this is not. I don't know. I don't get it. So a lot of our like
Tennessee hate, go Gators, baby.
A lot of our like big dream names are gone, of course. Went in the 50s, way before this. Benjamin Morrison, I know. I saw him in first round mock drafts. He went 68th here, but we probably have. Let's just see.
Nobody knows.
Can we even do this yet? Okay, 58% chance to get accepted if we packaged both our picks up to go right now. So we can do that and pick anybody that's left. I can't see the board.
See, that's part of the problem with the PFF board is like when you had like TDN's board, you could kind of see it when
you can kind of scroll up and down and be like, who's worth it? Yeah. Is there anybody that's like jumping out right now or should we just keep running this?
No, I think we should just keep running it.
All right.
To me, nobody's jumping out. Like, yeah, none of these guys are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed out on any of these guys.
I would love to put a young DT into this if we've got any left on the board. I would love
Luke.
I would not say no to a quarterback.
You should take time to watch Alfred Collins. 35 and a half arms.
I have
elite run defender. I don't think
he gave me a very Derek Harmon vibe, but just like a little bit less of the guy. Okay, so we ran this all the way to our pick. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like the Georgia guard right at the top, Tate Ratledge. But yeah, I have watched Alfred Collins. I haven't finished watching him, but I like what I see well enough so far. We also have trade down stuff. We have a couple of trade down teams that would be willing to maybe do this if we wanted to really hit day 3. But I think for the purposes of this, we probably want to pick a couple in day 2 here. So some of the ideas that are there, I think you like Devin Neal, the Kansas back, right?
He's all right. He lost a lot of juice year over year.
Tate Ratledge a lot.
Deion
Walker, that would be a controversial one.
Man, it was almost like he lost all his athleticism year over year, and we found out he was playing with a broken back. So who the heck knows?
That'll do it. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of a what was his name, Austin Booker vibe from him, a little Andre Carter-ish.
I liked Booker, but he was a very Yannick Ngakoue pilled where you're getting him to do one thing. So
Yeah,
like
it was a
taking
little
shot at
bit like
him
limited.
yeah, taking a shot at him on day 3. Like I thought he had day 2 pass rush skills, but the overall package just wasn't quite good enough. Kind of looking at the
Anybody jumping
board.
out here to you?
I'm obsessed with
Here's
Kobe
that.
Bryant.
Yeah.
I love him.
Do you want to? And Jamari Caldwell, the other deal from Oregon. I would actually, if this was our 1-2, Kobe Bryant and Jamari Caldwell, I'd be pretty happy in the third round.
So what? So
Although,
there's one thing that I'm thinking of because at 139, I know we can get Quincy Riley from Louisville, and he's one of my favorite prospects I've ever scouted. I'm obsessed with that guy. I mean,
okay.
I thought he was better than Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and I loved him. And we saw he played very well considering against Justin Jefferson this year when he as a rookie with the Titans. Looking at this, I almost think we should because we got Starks. I kind of feel like we should beef up the trenches. So I do like Ratledge. I haven't done the full watch like you have, and I know you really like him. I think that would be a really good bet. Get some competition in there for Garrett Bradbury. I do believe Ratledge has some center versatility, which is always a plus when you're talking about a guy.
Interesting. Oh, that might put it over the top. I didn't know that about him.
I'm not
personally,
100%.
I'm more excited about Caldwell than Ratledge, but like I would not cry about this at all.
Well, we're picking in 4 picks, so we can get Caldwell in 4 picks. We're probably not getting Ratledge, and this is where you try to play the board.
So you want to go Ratledge and then Caldwell, and then go for that Louisville corner at
Yeah.
139?
God, I love Jamari Caldwell. That dude. His hips don't lie, man. He's so good.
All right, let's click it. Wait, you know what? Real quick, just to make sure we're not screwing ourselves here. What are the D line left? Deion Walker. Okay, there's 2 D lines left, and Pegas, the Mississippi guy, who I don't like as much.
But he has 7 rushing.
But I don't think we're taking too bad of a risk in 4 picks, right?
No, I don't think so at all.
Okay.
I will say if they don't go safety round 1, Andrew McCuba is a really good football player. That could be
Send me your energy. Clicked Ratledge. No. We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him, Jamari Caldwell. How about that for a trenches in day 2?
I love Jamari Caldwell so much.
Gorgeous. All right, that brings us to day 3, where we still have 2 picks. There's can always be a way we could do the Madden move where we don't like anybody, so we trade the pick into future years. But there's that corner we're waiting on. I'm going to leave everybody in suspense, and we'll get to that in just a minute. All right, we are back here with the mock draft sim. First mock draft sim on Locked On Vikings of the year. First one for me at all. Haven't even done them like on my own time. First pick of round 4 was Jeffrey Bassa, a linebacker from Oregon that I hate. I'm never going to trust anybody from the Oregon secondary again.
He's a linebacker.
After what I saw in that Boise State game. Like, I swear to God, that's horrific. I don't know how Christian Gonzalez survived.
Well, Bassa's a linebacker for what it's worth.
Yeah, back 7.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, back 7. I put it this way. I saw bad things happen. I watched there goes Kobe Bryant. Oh, wait, no, we didn't. We kind of let that happen because we're looking for that Louisville kid, right?
Yeah. I will say if you don't end up getting Quincy Riley, man, Kobe Bryant, that dude is just gonna punch you in the mouth. The 4.5 is a little concerning.
Quarterback's going.
I'm okay with that.
We're there. We're getting there. Watching this with like holding my breath. We made it. He didn't go. Let's see where is he on this thing? Okay, he's ranked 1. He's 159. So we got to take him now, or we got to like try to trade back.
He's way too low on their sim. Way too low.
Do you want to trade back 10 picks and see if we can do it, or do you want to just take it?
No, I just want to take him. This dude has insane ball skills. He's got some nickel versatility. They played him there this year a little bit. He's also incredibly patient. Stays in the hip pocket. Does not get baited by double moves, and will just wait. Like there's this line in D through the Mighty Ducks. Coach O'Ryan tells Charlie, make him make the first move, Conway, and that's kind of how he plays. He just kind of, all right, you're gonna fake to the outside. I'm not buying it, and then he waits for them to cut upfield, and then he just sticks with it. He just plays a beautiful game.
Yeah, I love D-backs that are a little bit more that like you kind of want to be late to react than early to react.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you really know, like that's what makes Harrison Smith is that he's always early, but he's always right because he knows what the hell he's looking at.
Mm-hmm. He's got a little bit of that in him.
Yeah, for a young guy, Like, I would much rather have you be a Caleb Evans than Andrew Booth. You know, Caleb Evans a little too conservative, Andrew Booth a little too aggressive, and I think a Caleb Evans is. It's not a coincidence he's the one that actually has like a semblance of an NFL career.
Yeah.
All right, we are up at 187. Sorry, Max Brosmer, go for legend.
I will say, if the Vikings had like 8 or 9 picks, I think adding a quarterback would probably be a smart move.
I'm still always so fine with it.
It's always good to have that guy. One guy I want to talk about, and I think you and I have had conversations, and I know him really well because of Florida. Kymer DK, the Florida wide receiver.
The Florida receiver, yeah.
Just a do-it-all guy. He's going to be in the league for a decade playing wide receiver for and special teams. And at this point, you want to try and find guys who maybe have a little bit of upside. He was never a featured guy. But then when he became a little bit of one due to injuries last year with the Gators, like he got peppered a bunch of targets and played really well. So I'm intrigued. Plus, he's got punt returner versatility, which is always a plus. And he can be a core special teamer like Trent Sherfield for years.
I'm trying to put something together right now. We can get another pick if you want to get a 7th round quarterback. We move back 5 spots.
Let's do it.
70% chance to be accepted. Let's go. All right. We did it. We moved back a few spots because there's like nobody that we're like super in on. None of the guys we even talked about just went. So that was kind of free money. I would not be opposed to the other Georgia guard. This is Dylan Fairchild. I think this is the guy that they moved around because they didn't want him to pull, which is like maybe a deal breaker for teams. Like I think that might make him go undrafted. If they saw, that guy can't pull, you have to like do it from scratch. Wow. But I think we can be a little more luxurious now because we have an extra pick. So I'm looking at Jordan James, the Oregon running back. You like him, right? People like him.
I'll be honest, I haven't done a full watch. I'm not the biggest fan based on kind of live viewings, which we know I'm a college football sicko.
Cross him off. Ollie Gordon, I will cross off.
I'm out on Ollie Gordon. Taj Brooks,
big out on Ollie Gordon. I'm sorry, man. Like I saw you. We all can see you.
Taj Brooks, LaQuint Allen, Jaquavius Marks. Jaquavius Marks, also known as Woody Marks. When I look at these guys, they're all really, really good on third downs and in the passing game. Taj Brooks played in the air raid at Texas Tech. They did a lot more run game stuff this year, and he grew a lot in that sense. LaQuint Allen is 21 years old. He was a 3-year starter at Syracuse. Very explosive, but he did his best work in the passing game. And Woody Marks played in the air raid at Mississippi State for Mike Leach, then transfers out to USC, and he's mainly a pass-catching back. Like, that is his bread and butter, but he grew in the run game as well because they actually gave him real run game touches at USC. So those would be the 3 running backs I'd be looking at.
Pick one. Let's do it.
If I had to pick one, LaQuint Allen.
LaQuint Allen. Send it. All right. So I might be Ziggy Wilf here now and come in and say, look, you need to get another quarterback in this room. I know you're maybe going to add a veteran after the draft. I know you're doing your comp pick thing, but I need another body in this room right now. So I'm going to force the issue. Okay. I'm going to be a meddling owner, and I'm going to make you draft whatever quarterback is left. And you're going to have to say nice things about a quarterback that is available at pick 254. Good luck.
Hey, I mean, Brock Purdy started in a Super Bowl as the last pick of the draft. So you never know.
You never know. A thing that definitely is going to happen again. I'm putting you in such a hard spot here, but I'm trying to stress you out. I'm doing this on purpose.
No, and I think it's good to always draft quarterbacks, even if it's late day 3 guys. You never know when they're going to pan out. The Packers in the 90s traded Mark Brunell for a bunch of picks. They traded Matt Hasselbeck for a bunch of picks. Then the Patriots traded Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, Ryan Mallett. They got real picks back for those guys. So it's not a bad idea to continue growing and developing somebody. Childress tried to do it with Tyler Thigpen, and he got robbed by the Chiefs. And that's one of the reasons why they no longer do those joint practices. But man,
right, here are your options. Memphis QB Seth Hennigan, Washington QB Will Rogers, Donovan Smith from Houston, UCF KJ Jefferson, and DJ
Uiagalelei.
Say again?
Uiagalelei. It's
Uiagalelei. Got it.
It's relatively phonetic, which is nice considering how odd the word looks. So there are 2 routes we can go here. One, we can go with the more refined passer, maybe a little bit more of a limited upside, and that's Seth Hennigan, arguably the best quarterback that performed at the Senior Bowl. That
Yeah, I'm
quarterback
looking
room
for a
is
guy that
bad.
competes with with Brett Rippon for the backup job.
Or you can go with a higher upside, a little more volatility. Donovan Smith has a high level arm, but he's a bozo. So those
Hmm.
are your two options. I wouldn't touch Will Rogers because I think his arm is baby food. KJ Jefferson just no. DJ, you absolutely not. He was one of the
Okay.
worst quarterbacks in college football last year.
All
I
right.
would
So we're
probably go
between
Smith
Hennigan and
Hennigan.
Donovan Smith. Let's turn to Kevin O'Connell. What do you think he would say here?
I think you go with Hennigan because he can play with instruction. He can play on time. He does have some plus traits. He has some athleticism, and he's not a volatile player like Smith. But Smith has an absolute piss missile. So it's
All right.
parsing that out. But yeah, I think Hennigan's a guy who could last in the league for a decade with like a Chase Daniel like career. He's probably not going to start more than a handful of games, but he can be a valuable asset to you if he has to come in.
All right. We got an A+ for our Malachi Starks pick. And that's all the capacity I had to care about a grade on PFF.com. I didn't realize we went Georgia. I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it overall?
I really like it. I think we got a high-end prospect in Starks. He's going to end up top 10 on my board when this is all said and done. Quincy Riley is, I have a very high second-round grade on him. We got him at the top of round 5. To me, that's a steal. That happened with Jarvis Brownlee Jr. last year. Caldwell is one of my favorite players in this draft. He's just he just understands how to play football, and for like defensive lineman, he just plays it in such a beautiful way. I love watching him. Ratledge is a really good football player. LaQuint Allen, I think, has real upside as a running back. And you don't have to ask this guy to do a lot, but he can get on the field on third downs, which is a huge asset to a running back room in how it's constructed, and he can grow into a bigger role. And Hennigan, good dart throw at quarterback. And at the very
Yeah.
least, I think this is like, I don't think
Who's
he's
that
as
Iowa
good.
guy we got a couple years ago? I feel a little bit like we just
Nate
did that.
Stanley
Nate Stanley. Like we might have just Nate Stanley, but I don't think that it's wrong to Nate Stanley.
at
Um,
254, it doesn't matter.
so trying to like reflect on what we've learned here. What you were talking about earlier in the like flatness of this draft.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we traded back responsibly, just kind of jumped back a couple of picks. We picked up a 3rd and a 7th and we lost nothing. Like it felt like really free money.
Mm-hmm.
We waited 2 more picks. A couple of guys we don't care about went because we had like 5 guys we would have liked there. And it does feel like, I don't know. And the Vikings board's going to be different than ours, right? And maybe they have like more extreme opinions, but it does feel a little bit like if you can find that, the problem is, the Rams aren't going to take that deal in real life for the exact same reasons because they're going to, why would you trade up? We got 5 guys we like. So can we find that deal would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how, like, if it is truly that flat and it feels this easy, it might be too good to be true. But if it is, bam, we can like pick up a couple extra things. Suddenly we're walking away with a 6-player draft class. And that feels a lot more normal than all this panic everybody's got going, oh my God, we only have 4 picks.
So it's interesting because the market prices are going to be lower because of the flatness of the draft, but you're also going to have such wide varying opinions. Like there are probably only about 10 to 13 players that teams will have first round grades on this year. But I think there's going to be about 50 players that get first round grades because there's always going to be like 1 or 2 guys who you see as like an early second rounder that a team will just be super high on and be like, no, that is a mid first round guy. And if there's one guy, like let's say the Chiefs want to come up to 24. We think this guy is a top 10 player in this class and we want to go get him and he's still here. That situation is the one that I think could present itself. And if it does present itself, the Vikings can take advantage. It also could be a situation where we had Rick Spielman those couple times in the 3rd round. They traded down like 2 or 3 times and then ended up with Daniil Hunter. They
I
traded
love
down
that.
2 or
That's
3
what I
times
want.
and
The
ended up with
Alexander Madison move.
Yeah.
That was so beautifully cool. Like I think that because to me, that's like free money because you're doing it in increments. You're doing it like, okay, we've got our 3 guys. Let's trade back 2 picks and see if any of them go. None of them went. Let's do 2 more picks. And I feel like it's a really great way to squeeze exactly as much value out before you start losing out on guys you're like actually gonna miss. But it takes a bit of business sense to do that. It takes the connections. Spielman could do that because he has worked out trades with every team because he'd been in there forever and ever and ever. I think with a greener GM, you don't have that relationship with, Brett Veach and Howie Roseman and, all these other guys. he only has the relationships that he has, which I think limits the ability to trade down. But I would love to still try to do it. Tyler, thank you so much for coming on this mock draft. I think we did a great job here, if I do say so myself.
I think so too. This is I always like doing mock drafts. I'm not a true sicko. I don't do them all the time, but it gives you a really good
You know who
landscape
you are.
on. Hey, I'm not he who must not be named. So, at the end of the day, it gives you a good landscape of what to generally expect.
Yeah.
And that's a really good process. And I like to use mock drafts for data. That's why I have my mock draft tracker. 367 mock drafts since January 1st that I've collected. Over the last 2 weeks, 37 of the 79 selections have all been at safety. So we're starting to see a real shift in how the media is viewing what the Vikings are probably going to do. How much is that worth? Well, they were right last year. JJ McCarthy was number 1. Dallas Turner was number 7 2 years ago. Jordan Addison was number 2. And we're talking about like a list of like 50 prospects, 545 mock drafts in 2023, 838 last year. Like the collective whole ends up being pretty close when draft day comes.
Yeah, not a lot of mystery. There was not a lot of mystery last year. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff about, well, what about Drake May? What if someone falls? Like, there's always the what ifs, but there's always that chalk outcome. And yeah, it feels like that the chalk outcome is for the Vikings to take a safety, but we got a long way to go for people's minds to change. We are getting to the end of where people start getting new information as we get to the end of pro days, and then everybody just gets to think, and that's when stuff gets weird. But we will take all that as it comes. Tyler, thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you everybody else for coming and hanging out here on Forno Friday on the Locked On Vikings podcast. We will talk next week, and as always, Skull.